Hi everyone, Channy here. From what many of you from TikTok have told me, you wanted to hear about my incident with Top from Big Bang on his discharge day in 2019. So today I'm going to tell you a little story from last year, Sarpudi, where I saved Top from dangerous or intense fans. Is this a clickbait title? Yes and no, because I did step up and control the situation which allowed Top to remain safe, but at the same time I feel like the term saved is a bit exaggerated. So I'm going to say it's a mix of yes and no. This is my first time doing a Sarpudi kind of video, it's going to be very unorganized, but let's dive straight into our little tea time and find out what happened. So, quick intro of Top. He's a rapper from a legendary K-pop group called BIGBANG. If you don't know who BIGBANG is, they're a group that sang the song Bang 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 that you could listen to at any of the K-pop events.
Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang.
Top is a lead rapper from the group. He has a very distinctive deep voice, so it's hard to miss who he is. On February of 2017, Top enlisted in Korean military to complete his mandatory service. During his time in service, he was in scandals which resulted in him being shamed from the public and having to live a quiet life while serving. And on July 9th of 2019, Top was done with his time in Korean military and was discharged. So, this is where my story begins. Over the summer of 2019, I was in Korea for vacation and private editions. I was spending my time alone in Korea, meeting relatives, eating away all this great food. While I was in Korea, I used to go to Hongdae a lot since that is one of the places where many of the foreigners and Korean people around my age hang out the most. And while I spent my time in Hongdae, I made friends with two Chinese international students who were studying Korea who also happened to be big fans of Big Bang. What a luck, right? So, there I was, spending my time in Korea like any other days, eating tons of food, wandering around the city, and enjoying my vacation. But one day, the girl, or the friend, she told me that Top was being discharged and the fans were hosting a secret fan meet with them. As she told me this, I knew that this was the opportunity to meet the man whom I fanboy over. I got back into K-pop in 2015 and didn't really know who Big Bang was, so I never had an opportunity to see Big Bang live, and I really wanted to do so. As she told me this, and realizing how members of Big Bang were in a lot of scandals, I thought to myself, this is it. This is the only time when I will get to see him, and I don't know when else I would. So I asked her when and where the fan meet was happening. On the day of fan meet, I had the mentality of like half hyped up and like half, whatever, but I bet I won't even get to like see him up close. I mean, this is Big Bang we're talking about. Sure, there'll be tons of fans who will line up for him. But onwards I went. Took out my maid album jacket, wearing all black. I took a cab to the place where he was getting discharged from. Once I got to the location, I was trying to find out where the place was. There are a couple of buildings where it could have been potential locations for meetup, but didn't really see a crowd of people. As I walked around the building, coming under an overpass, I see a lineup of people and went, oh, there I go, I found it. This is a spot right there. The lineup was not just a single line, it was more like a series of lineups with two people sitting next to each other, so that way Top can walk in between them and snake it around. And by the end of the line, he would come back to the point where he started. Don't overcomplicate this and think of it as like running on a track, but like one full circle. But instead of a circle, it's like multiple lines where he had to snake around them. Like this. So, I met up with my friends who told me about this and told me that they have their ticket number. So I asked what the ticket number was for, and she told me that it was a number for the order of people to get in line. So if you're in number one, you're at the start of the line where Top will start walking from. As I heard about that, my friend tried to help me to get the ticket number from the people organizing, but they told me that they stopped issuing the tickets. The people organizing were not like the staff of YG or police, it was just ordinary fans like you and I. There were like less than six of them, and all girls in ages of early 20s. So, as the time to meet Top was approaching fast, the organizers told everyone to get in line and take a seat. Obviously, because I didn't have a ticket number, I was sent to the corner end of the line. But to be honest, let's be fair here and agree that it's just lucky enough to see him up close. So I didn't really complain, but rather was thankful about it. And remember that because this is a secret fan meet, we had to stay quiet or else Top would have had to leave right away because media reporters would be attracted and try to get an interview off of him. I was told that Top actually decided to meet up with his fans secretly rather than going to interview with reporters right after his discharge. So, as I waited at the back, I could hear the crowd start to go wild. I looked up. It was him in the distance. One of the few men I simp over was coming towards us with his staff members and security teams with suits on. As I was like, oh my god, there he is! I hear another group screaming in the distance. It wasn't the line. I turned around and there were these fans running towards him all the way from the back in the distance. I swear when I saw them rush up and scream for the first time, I thought they were like some kind of a coordinated attack because right before Top showed up, there was nobody in the back. And I know that because I was at the end. But as soon as he showed up, they started rushing. As I saw that group rushing towards them, I turned to the organizers who were yelling at them to stop and behave. But remember how I said that they were just a group of fans in their early 20s organizing this for him? Their efforts weren't as effective as you would hear a bodyguard yell at a dangerous person to back off. From here on, my brain went on like 100% use and thought very quickly. I thought to myself, if I don't do anything right now, they're just going to rush up on him, and he might have to go away without finishing this fan meet, which would result in me not being able to see him up close. And remember how I said that Top was doing this secretly and we had to stay quiet so that the reporters wouldn't get attracted? Yep, those fans were in the back, were threatening this fan meet. So without any hesitation, I got up, ran through the lineups in an angle to where I would stop the rushing fans. As I was in front of them, I jumped on one of those like the public benches without backrests and yelled, "Get back! Get the back right now!" with a very loud and aggressive voice. In case you're wondering how loud I was and am currently serving in the army. I was obviously trained on how to control the crowd, do security checkups, so you can kind of guess how loud I was. Just like in the movies. But here's another thing. You know how in Netflix movies and TV series you have these like undercover detectives or cops who have their right hands behind their back in their jackets as if they're pulling out their like the pistols, the sidearms? As I was standing there, I put forward my left arm and put my right arm in that position to the back to prepare for potential individuals who would have forcibly tried to run up to him. So think about this for a second. You have this guy in all black, black jacket, black hat, black pants, and a black mask yelling at you, telling you to get back right now. You would obviously start to go, "Whoa, who's this guy? Am I in trouble?" Right? So as soon as I did that, the crowd of like 10 or more people just stopped. They froze. I mean, some would try to get like, move and walk past me, and I would just like point at them and yell, "Hey!" or like say stuff like, "I said move back!" So I just secured the crowd of like 10 or more people who were ready to rush up to him. And the people in lineups were actually cheering for me because I just stopped these rude fans who were trying to just, ruin this entire fan meet. As I held my grounds and waited for the organizers, I just hear one of the organizers tell me, "Okay, stay here and make sure nobody gets past you." And I'm like,
What? What the fuck?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
huh? So there I was, from a fan being there for a fan meet to being an exterior security volunteer for Top. So let's get this straight here. The way how Top's security worked was like this. Surrounding Top, you would have his legitimate bodyguards who are in suits, the big guys you don't want to mess with. And to provide cover and minimize the amount of people rushing up to him, We had the organizers and myself in every other step of the line and make sure nobody tries to cut over the line and meet him. As Top was walking around the lines, I would have some people trying to get past me, and I would catch them. I didn't really go after them, but I was just yelling at them in deep voice, be like, "Hey!" or to like kind of give them a sign saying that, "Hey, like don't you dare, like don't get past here." I felt bad for some fans because few of them came up to me, pulling out their ticket number. "We have the ticket. Can we go to our spot?" And the organizer would tell me like, to tell them that the fan meet already started, so they can't. Every time Top was coming near the end of the line, we always had this like group of people standing, wanting to shake hands with them. I mean, obviously because these are the people who rushed up and came late, and obviously we had to control the crowd, saying, quiet down, sit down, so nobody falls on top of another person. The bodyguards in suits were doing that for the most part, but because the fans were mostly foreigners, they didn't understand what the bodyguards were saying. So I would just come up to it and just be like, "All right, everybody down, down." And the bodyguard would just look at me and take that in and say, "Okay, down, down." I'm like, "Please, sit down, down." You just like follow what I'm saying. I was even talking to a bodyguard in Korean about like how I came here for a fan meet as a fan, and I've been conscripted into being a security for Top. Anyways, as Top was almost done with his handshakes, he was coming to me. He was, coming into my direction. He was approaching me. So I had a choice to make here. I could either, one, hold my ground and ensure that nobody was trying to butt in, or two, go up to him and get a close-up photo of him and shake hands with them. So remember what I said about how Top is one of the few K-pop idols I simp over? I asked one of the organizers to take over for me and I went for him. As I was there in the line, sticking my hand out for a handshake, waiting for him, I realized that Top was skipping some of the handshakes. I mean, obviously, if he went for each of them, we would have to be there for hours, right? So I had my phone ready, recording like all ready and waiting for him to come by. There he is, the moment of truth. And yes, he did. Top shook hands with me, bowing, saying thank you. I even had my phrase ready, which was "형, 저녁 축하드려요," which translates to "형," obviously, congrats on your discharge. But because I was like so shaken, I stuttered so hard and never that hard in my life.
축하드려요. 축하합니다. 축하드려요. 축하합니다.
형, 저녁 축하드려요.
축하드려요. 축하합니다.
What is this? This isn't even Korean. But anyways, after he, shook hands with me, he went on with the handshakes and continued on to the end of the line. After I got my handshake, I went back to my spot and watched him go on. But as I watched him go on, a teenage fangirl was trying to get past me without knowing that she can't go on any further. So I told her, "Hey, sorry, but you can't get past me." Then she asked me, "Oh, is he going to come back?" And this girl was like desperate. I could tell from the looks in her eyes, facial expression she's making, and the tone of her voice, like she was really desperate to see him up close. I knew what the answer to like her question was, and I knew that she wasn't going to like it. Let's think about this for a second before we move on. Here, we have a desperate fan who really wants to meet her idol and she doesn't want to miss this. Now, this is where I had to make a big decision of lying to her, saying that he will come back, or tell her the truth. If I lie to her, I would obviously be lying to her, breaking her heart at the end, but at the same time, calming her down. If I tell her the truth, I would have a potential situation of her begging me the entire time and myself having to tell her no every time, or even try to get past me forcefully, which could potentially motivate the surrounding fans to do so. So I told her, yes, he is going to come back. I know some of you would be like, "Wow, that's horrible," or "Why would you give her false hope?" But I also want you to understand that the potential consequences of telling her the truth could have brought a potential danger to the fan meet. Even if it was potential, not, not for sure, it was a potential that I and nobody would want to risk. I have to make sure that Top is out of there and gets away safely, and not have this entire fan meet end up with like a horde of fans rushing up to him, and him and his bodyguards having to bash through. The crowds blocking his way, like how you see K-pop fans at like airport all huddled up surrounding the K-pop idol. and I certainly do not want to be the cause of that happening. So I told her, yes, he will come back. And she said, okay, I'll wait here because you said that he'll come back. and that really broke my heart. I was like, oof, oh, I'm so sorry, in my head the whole time. So there Top was, at the end of the line, turned around, bowed, and said goodbye. Then he walked away. As he walked away, fans sitting in the lineups were standing and were watching him go. As the fans did that, the organizers and I had to move around and make sure everything was in control until the end. And once he disappeared, the fans, they started moving around in that same spot and, where they had the fan meet, sharing videos, photos, and meeting up with their friends. As the fans were moving around, I went to look for my friends too, and while looking for them, I had some people tell me thank you because of what I did in that quick second. Because if I wasn't there, yelling at those fans rushing up to him, things might have came out very differently. By the end of the fan meet, I lost my voice, and that was one of the very few times where I actually lost my voice from yelling very loudly. But yeah, from a fan going to a fan meet to see his idol, to a security for Top, so that he does his fan meet safely. What a sudden turn of events, am I right? I mean, yeah, it was really an unbelievable experience, and I really wish I played the Flower Road on my speakers when I got to see him. But yeah, there you have it. There's my story of saving K-pop Idol from the dangerous fans, or, sasaengs, if you will. Oh, and in case you're wondering, this sounds unreal. Isn't this fake? Like, is this true? Here are photo comparisons of the site, of the location. This is from his Instagram. This is the photo I took. And in this photo right here, you can see a guy in a distance blurred out, facing the crowd watching him. Yep. That's me. Anyways, thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned for the next video of Sarpudi, the story time, not tea time. And next time I'll come up with better videos. I got tons of videos too, so we'll see how that goes. Alright,